Boom. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the When Your Parenting Plan Doesn't Work Masterclass. I'll be your host, Jay Skibbens. I cannot wait to share these ideas with you, mostly because, as you'll find out, the creators that I work with um, simply just go through some of the biggest transformations I've ever seen in my life. Like they go from feeling consumed by co-parenting to having peace and being able to make decisions and not being scared of their co-parent reactions and not being, worried all of the time that they're going to ruin their kids. We still have worries sometimes because we're human, but it's not all consuming. So tonight, what we're going to really share is what it really takes to go beyond the parenting plan, what it really takes to create your own peace, what it really takes to be able to take life as it is and make co-parenting like what I kind of show my creators is if this is co-parenting, right? Everybody here coming into this call, this is your capacity right now. Like it or leave it, like that's where your capacity is. And unfortunately, co-parenting has taken up as much capacity as you have right now. It consumes your thoughts. It dominates your decisions. It is the thing that you're thinking about, even when you're not thinking about it. It's literally co-parenting. You've gotten it to a point where it's smaller than it used to be. And maybe for some of you it's not, but for some of you it's smaller and it's fitting here. But this is all you've got. So what I focus on rather than over here, because we can't control our co-parent, we can't make them change, we can't really prove in court that they're as awful as it feels like they are. We don't worry about this. And what you're going to find out tonight, and what my creators find out all of the time, is that we're going to focus on how to get you to expand. Like if you're this, if you can expand to the point where you are much, much bigger, a much, much bigger capacity, and they're still this big, when they move around, when they make a fuss, when they do something, it won't rattle you nearly the same way as it used to. So we're going to get started because I cannot wait for you to hear this information. Okay, so thank you, thank you, thank you, and just welcome in. I just want to take a second and appreciate that you're all here, that this many people showed up to learn how to do better for yourself and learn how to do better for your kids. I always just want you to know that even just being here is a sign that you're doing a lot and that you are just crushing it in so many ways that you might not realize right now. And the steps that you've taken to get to this spot right here, right now, have served you. And I want you to be grateful. And I want you to understand that you've done everything you could with the capacity that you have right now. And tonight, what I want to do is just lay the groundwork for your capacity to expand. So what we're going to work through tonight is what happens when the parenting plan doesn't work. Okay. So I am Jay Skibbens. I'm a dad. For those of you who don't know, I have a wild journey to like fatherhood in general. I didn't have a dad. I met him twice, actually three times if you count the time I met him in prison when I was a baby. But I don't like we're not in relationship now. So that left me and my mom. And Eileen is wonderful and amazing, and I know that she loves me. And I know, especially with all the work I've done now, how much she was in survival mode. So my experiences have shaped me so much. So I knew from an early age the power of being a dad. I've been a co-parent coach for 4 years now. I really feel like I'm a professional safe space creator, that people around me get to relax, that people around me get to be themselves, the people around me, whether it's my kids, my clients, my girlfriend, my friends, the best thing I can offer people is a chance to fully be themselves. And I'm the guy that's going to introduce to you a entirely new way of thinking about co-parenting. So much so that I've created my own methodology. Like it's no longer just BIF method or high conflict. I've created a methodology that continues to show results. So I'm going to show you why the parenting plan hasn't worked, even though you followed every rule. Okay, you're going to see what's really keeping you stuck and why it's not really court or your co-parent, even when they both suck. And I'll walk you through the exact method I teach my clients to create peace, confidence, and clarity, no matter what your co-parent is doing. Okay, that's the key. Like from here on out, what like you have to say about your co-parent matters so much less than what you have to say about yourself. Like I'm the coach that gets you to open up about you. I'm the coach that gets you to look in the mirror. I'm the coach that gets you to understand that there's literally nothing holding you back except yourself. And if that's hard to hear, that's partially because you haven't done it yet. And the journey it takes to getting to that point is one of the most powerful journeys you'll ever go on. So, like I said, what we're going to cover is number one, the lie. And this is something that I see so many people adhering to, so many people spreading, so many people subconsciously and like unintentionally making it harder on themselves and anybody else that comes into the co-parenting world. Follow the parenting plan. Just get a good parenting plan and things should work out. Like that's like saying, I'm going to hand you the rules of the road and that makes you a good driver. That means we're not going to have accidents. That means we're not going to have crashes. No, just knowing the rules of the road doesn't make somebody a good driver. You can even read that thing front to back, have it memorized, and that still doesn't make you a good driver. So we're going to talk about why doing everything right still can leave you feeling anxious, reactive, and powerless. Then we're going to talk about the trap, okay? The emotional survival mode. Because again, what I see and what I help with is the fear, the guilt, the anxiety. That's what you've been living in. And until you face it, that's actually what's controlling you. It's not your co-parent. It's not court. It's your fear of your co-parent. It's your anxiety around court. It's your guilt around how you're showing up with your kids. That's what's holding you back. So the shift comes from this real peace that you build, that you cultivate, and is learning how to overcome that fear, that guilt, and that anxiety, and understanding that overcoming it is a skill that you can learn and that you can build. And the more you practice it, the more you are intentional with it, the more you make your life about you, the better things get. And again, one thing that I want you to hear is something I've been telling my clients for a while now, is most of you on this call 99 times out of 100 are thinking about everybody else. You are thinking about how your kids are going to react. You're going to think about how your co-parent is going to react. You're thinking about how court's going to react. And unfortunately, because of conditioning and because of so many other things, you only think of yourself as a priority once out of 100 times. To be fair, part of what I've learned is that your co-parent is more than likely the person that thinks about themselves 99 times out of 100. And if you're not muted, go ahead and mute yourself. We want to make sure we don't have too many interruptions. What I have found is that oftentimes somebody who thinks about themselves last that often has attracted somebody who thinks about themselves first that often. And people always balk at the idea of, Jay, I can't put my kids come first, Jay, my kids come first. Yes, and they will. I can assure you, nobody here is going to turn into a selfish, narcissistic, like me first person. But what I can tell you is that if you're a person who thinks about yourself once out of 100 situations, and then you move that up to 2 out of 100 situations, that's 100% increase. So then if you were to move it up to 3 out of 100, that is a 200% increase. If you increase anything beneficial in your life 200%, you will see massive results. So you don't have to drastically change things in order for your life to drastically feel better. It just has to go from once out of 100 to maybe 2, 3, go crazy, maybe 4 or 5 times out of 100, and you will start to feel, think, believe completely different. So you're in the right place if you've done everything they've told you to do. You followed the plan, you stayed calm, you never badmouth them, especially out loud, and it's still not working because now you're exhausted. You're angry. You are wondering if this fight is just how it's got to be. Maybe it's getting worse. You're also in the right place if you've read all the books. And all of the books, they're writing books right now because we need to be catching up. So you've read the books, you've gone to therapy, you've tried being the bigger person, but nothing has actually changed because nobody taught you how to handle the emotional chaos that comes with co-parenting with somebody who refuses to meet you halfway. Okay? That's not something many of us learned how to do, how to feel anger, how to really get comfortable with the amount of sadness and grief and loss that comes with divorce and co-parenting, the amount of frustration, the amount of triggers, the amount of unbridled rage that you are going to feel. More than anything, most of you are probably taught to hide that, to keep it under wraps. Don't let anybody know. Don't show it. Don't be too much. Don't be, that's just unnecessary. You were probably told as a child how troublesome those big emotions are, and now you can't help it. So you're in the right place if that's what you're feeling inwardly, and you're trying your best not to let anybody else know. So then you're in the right place if you know you can't do this forever. And you're finally ready for a system and a methodology that works even when your co-parent doesn't. Like this, I don't have two co-parents sign up. I have one co-parent who's like, you know what? I know that I'm part of the problem and therefore part of the solution. If you're still going to blame your co-parent for everything, I'm not the coach for you. And that's okay. You're not in the right place then. There are coaches, there are systems, there are places that will teach you that your co-parent is to blame for everything. And if that's what you want to keep attached to, I'm not the guy. And I say that with love and I say that with confidence. We won't be a good fit. I want people who are ready to look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe some of this is something, a pattern I have just as much as a pattern they have. And once you can get there, that's the real sweet spot. So again, who am I? I'm Jay. I am a dad. My kids are 11 and 9. They're downstairs. They are amazing. I love them. I'm also an educator. I'm also a coach. I'm also a boyfriend. I'm also a son, a brother, all of these other things, right? But I've also been a certified life coach since 2020. I've coached over 600 co-parents, primarily moms. I've coached moms who have been through divorce, and I've coached moms who have had children with somewhat strangers. I've coached women who have been through abuse, who have been through like post-separation abuse. The one thing that I see over and over, especially since I do a group setting for a lot of my coaching, everyone comes in feeling like their situation is unique. And to them it is. To them, it is the hardest, worst thing that they've ever been through. And then as soon as they start talking about it, as soon as they start sharing about it, and especially as soon as they start sharing their own story, they start to understand and they start to see and they start to hear just how connected they are with these other women, with these other moms. And the powerful thing is that when you get a group of women together who are able to fully realize themselves, who aren't just abuse survivors, who aren't just victims, that they're able to be Leanna, they're able to be Carrie, they're able to be Shamra, they're able to be Ashley, they're able to be full humans, they heal on a whole different level. Because once your identity isn't just tied to what happened to you, you can do a lot more. So I am a former teacher and a former social worker. And I tried to disrupt those systems. And what I found is that those systems, to truly disrupt them and truly get them to the place that they need to be, I would need to, especially with school, have the students completely revolt. That's like the truth, is that the students actually have all of the maneuverability. They have the power, but they're minors, so they have no power. They have no agency. But the coolest part of what I found about co-parenting and divorce is that you guys have the power. It's you who are spending the money. It's you who are in the system. It's you who have the ability to radicalize the way we talk about co-parenting, the way we talk about divorce, the way we talk about single parenting, honestly, the way we talk about single moms. And you have to be part of a revolution if you want things to get better. You have to let go of certain things like, oh, I can't do that, I'm a single mom, I can't afford that, I can't, I don't have time. You have to let go of some of these stories, some of these myths, some of these, archetypes that help keep people stuck. So I'm all of these things, like help you see that you're all of these things, and therefore I'm also the creator. And you'll find out more about the creators, which is the group. I'm the creator of the Skibbens Method. And it's going to show you that there's not a single situation, there's not a single co-parenting relationship that cannot be improved. So what's my story? Why am I here? Like, why should you be listening to me? The difference between these two pictures is about 9 years. On the left, that's me and Elliot. I always wanted to be a dad. Like, not having a dad, I worked with kids from the time I was like 12. Like, I remember being in church, and like I started helping with the children's church like as soon as I hit junior high. As soon as they let me, I helped with kids. It even happened today at the park that there was this little like mixed kid at the park that we didn't really know where his people were, and he just like came along with us. And I fell in love with fatherhood. I always wanted to be a dad. It didn't happen the way that I expected it. Like, I co-parent with somebody that I was not married to. I co-parent with somebody that I wasn't even dating. I was so lost and directionless, and I had such little value that really for me the only way that I knew where my value was through sex. And that's what led me to my co-parent. And when she got pregnant, it was obviously life changing. Like, I fell in love with Elliot. I fell in love with fatherhood. I fell in love with what that life offered me. I felt like, oh shit, like, okay, now my life has meaning. Now I have a purpose. But the reality was, like, since it was so messy, and since it was a story that nobody really, I wasn't proud of. My friends are getting married, and I, have a child with somebody that I am not even dating. So I pretended to have it all together. And there were moments of happiness, but I was lost. I was trying to follow a path of who I thought I was supposed to be. I was trying to do the right thing. And I think that a lot of you might understand this. It's like you're doing what you think is right. You're following this like archetype. You're following this, like, I saw dads on TV. I tried to do what I thought a dad should do. But I had no idea. I really had no idea who I was. And I had no idea, especially outside of fatherhood, who I was. And there on the right, that's 2 years into coaching. That's 9 years apart, and like literally 9 lifetimes. COVID happened in the middle of that. I became a teacher. I lost that job. I became a social worker. I started coaching. I found my purpose. I honestly, along the way, I also found out that my kids weren't biologically mine. Like, that's how lost I was, that I didn't even have the capacity to see those types of red flags. Like, that's like, yeah, I made a post the other day that was like that I take as much responsibility for what happened as I feel like Rachel should. And people have lost their minds over, how dare, like, you don't have any responsibility. Yes, I did. And you'll learn that accountability is one of the key components of the Skibbens method, because yes, I did. yes, I did have as much responsibility for myself being in that situation. I have responsibility for being in a situation that didn't serve me because I wasn't true to myself. I didn't know myself. I hadn't done any looking in the mirror to figure that out. So on the right, that's one of my favorite pictures of all time. I had found my purpose. I had claimed my path. I had built a life that actually fit me, that breathed life into me and was easy because I didn't have to pretend. So I wasn't surviving. I'm thriving and my kids get to thrive. So like I said, where was I on co-parenting before that picture? I was letting the parenting plan make my decisions for me. I was counting the hours. We were 50-50, but you know who was never really 50-50? Me, in my head, because I made sure I had 51%. Because that made me feel like a better parent than her. That made me feel like a better co-parent. I knew the ins and the outs. I wrote most of our co-parenting plan. And I was doing that and I knew it all. And I wanted the 51% because I didn't know how to make myself feel good. I didn't know how to validate myself. I didn't know who I was outside of parenting, outside of being a dad. So I was forcing so much. I was trying to get her to be on the same page. I was trying to get her to follow the same plan that I was following. Because I literally made the plan. So I was like, maybe if I can make the plan, she'll follow it and then we'll be on the same page. And then maybe then I'll feel better. Maybe then it'll be easier. But nothing really changed until I stopped trying to build my life around co-parenting, right? What an idea. I stopped trying to build my life around co-parenting and I let co-parenting be part of my life. I built a life that I love. I built a life that serves me. I built a life that I don't have to run from, numb from, avoid. And co-parenting became part of that. So that shift didn't just give me more peace, it gave me more power. I am unstoppable at this point because my identity isn't just tied up in one thing. I have built confidence. I've built things with like literally out of nothing. And the coolest part is that all of that helps me have more fun, have more joy as a parent. That's what it like. You don't like if you ask for more joy in parenting, you don't just get joy. You get situations to appreciate. You get situations that you need to have gratitude for. You get hardships that you will have to overcome because then you can say, "Oh my gosh, what I have now is so much better than when I was pretending. It's so much better than when I didn't know what I was doing." So now I help others do the same. So, what I want you to do is close your eyes just for a second and listen to my dog bark if you can hear it. And also listen to my kid be conscious of the fact that I'm on this masterclass and is doing his best to keep our dog quiet. So shout out to him. Shout out to Dash, our dog. But close your eyes for a second. And I want you to imagine, like not when the kids are 18, not 2 years from now, and honestly, not even 6 months from now. Like I want you to imagine 6 weeks from now. Did I say 6 weeks twice in a row? I meant 6 months. Imagine 6 weeks from now, like literally just 6 weeks. Okay? I want you to imagine not getting thrown off every time your co-parent says something petty, manipulative, or unfair. Not because you've just squashed those emotions, but because you finally know how to stay grounded. You know that 99% of what they say is about them, so anything that comes out of their mouth isn't for you. And you've also learned how to work through your triggers and grow and expand because of what triggers you, not avoid your triggers, maybe go no contact because you can't handle it. What if you could actually look them in the face? What if you could actually, when they don't look you in the face, not get triggered, not let it ruin your day? Imagine letting go of the pressure of needing to do everything for everyone. Letting go of that without the fear of how your kids are going to react. Letting go of the fear of how it's going to look in court. Letting go of that fear of what your co-parent is going to do. Imagine showing up for your kids in a way that feels real. Not like you're just faking it. Not like you have to put on this costume to be a good parent or be a good co-parent. Not dress up for the courts. It's just you. It's just you. You are enough. You get to show up who you are as you are, and you believe and you trust that you're enough. Imagine what it would feel like to stop communicating like a judge or a lawyer is looking over your shoulders. And just be able to communicate. Be able to ask for what you want. Be able to say no. And ultimately, imagine being able to make decisions based on your values, your peace, and your intuition, especially for you moms. Your intuition is your North Star. And so many of you have lost it because, like, literally of conditioning, of the co-parent, but also because when you went on that date with your co-parent and you knew they weren't a good fit, something helped you talk yourself into going on date 2. When they yelled at you that first time, when they were shady around your parents, when you were walking down the aisle and you were like, damn, this is just not it. And then you talk yourself out of listening to your intuition, the co-parenting plan is not going to be what fixes it. It's going to be internal. Okay, so getting back to the intuition, that's what we're going to do here. So the other cool part is it's not just me. Okay, my clients no longer analyze every message, wondering if they should document this or let it go. My clients no longer live in fear that one misstep is going to hurt their kids or be used against them. They don't perform, they don't carry the emotional weight. They're not in survival mode. Like even the ones, like I had a mom who just finished up again a couple of like maybe 2 months ago who had like 3 kids under 3. That is like, that's the definition of survival mode. And you throw co-parenting on top of that. And she would like laugh. She would cry definitely, but she would be able to laugh on our meetings and in our calls. And she would be able to think about what she wants and what she needs instead of always thinking about how her co-parent's going to react, always thinking about what her kids need, always worried or living in anxiety about how her kids are going to turn out. That she started getting like a firm enough ground for her to stand on. Okay, so I've had clients get a full-time job during the 12 weeks. One of them here says that it's only been 2 weeks and they haven't thought about their co-parent at all the past week. Imagine not thinking about your co-parent for a full week. Okay, imagine being able to ask for the travel that you're wanting, the vacation that you're wanting, and have zero stress. These are messages from my clients, zero stress about being able to read the email and not have it trigger her anymore. Okay, so I want you to meet Leanna because the thing I know about Leanna is that she just wanted peace. And to be fair, and I'm going to have her talk for just a couple of minutes, she didn't rush to work with me either. She followed me and followed me and maybe unfollowed me a couple of times. So I want you to hear from Leanna. So Leanna, if you want to pop on, we might not be able to see you, but I want you to just share your story with us, okay?
Okay, there we go. Could not get the unmute button to work.
Nailed it.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So I just wrote a little thing I want to read, and then I have a few other notes. So I'll just start with this.
Actually, Leanne, I want to pause because I do want people to see you. I have changed my mind. I do want people to see you because that is what is not real if it's not that. So let's stop the share for just a second. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Leanna, and I live in Alberta, Canada, and I'm about an hour north of the U.S. border in Montana for reference. So that's where I live. And I have 2 kids who are 7.5 and 5.5. and we do 50-50 parenting, week on, week off. And like Jay said, when I joined the creators, all I wanted was peace, and I just wanted him to leave me alone. And if someone could just help me to do that, then I could finally have peace. I was in constant panic mode, always checking my messages, over explaining everything, trying to control things just to avoid conflict. I thought if we just followed the parenting plan, then I could finally feel okay. But what I realized is that peace doesn't come from the court document. My court document in particular is 29 pages, and it's very wordy and very lengthy. And you read a sentence and you don't even know if what it is and what made sense or not. But I was trying to live my life based out of going off of that and following these rules. And I thought that if I just followed the rules, I could just get him to do the same, and everything would be peaceful. But I learned that the peace comes from within me, and I don't need the parenting plan to decide how to live my life in my own house. I make the decisions with confidence now instead of fear, and I now trust myself as a mom. The parenting plan hasn't changed at all, and my co parent hasn't changed either, but I have changed. So when I went through the creators program, I learned how to pause, how to ground, how to respond instead of react. And no longer need to argue or explain anything. I just choose peace. And I know that that can feel impossible. And I thought it was. Like Jay had said, I kind of followed for about a year and a half before I finally actually reached out and joined. And that whole time I was living in fear and basing everything off of this parenting plan and paying the lawyer. So I don't know what it was exactly. I trusted myself this much, and I joined the program, and I started learning how to live in alignment and trust myself. And now I lead my family with clarity and calm. And I'm not trying to survive anymore. I'm creating my own life. And I've learned that if all I want is peace, I get to do that for myself.
Mhm. So I love that. And Leanna, so much of what you said resonated with me. And what I would love is for everybody in the chat or whoever heard something there that really resonated with them, share it in the chat. Because one thing that I know, especially for the people who've been through the program, it's always so cool for them to hear. Because Leanna literally just finished up like a week ago, like literally just a week ago. So this isn't somebody who's been doing this for years. Like this is somebody who is 13 weeks from joining. And what I love and what we'll talk about in like when you will all have the chance to join the creators tonight. The huge thing that I do is that it is a rolling onboarding. So you'll come in and there are already people in, and Leanna will be back and Ashley is a part of it. And it's this ability to hear from people who are weeks ahead of you, not years, not like they're not guru masters, right? But they have clarity. They know that things are going to work out. And somebody who's just weeks ahead of you, having that type of confidence and peace in their life makes it that much more attainable. So I want to, Leanna, have you repeat one thing because I heard you say my co-parenting plan didn't change and my co-parent didn't change. Yeah. So if you could sum it up in one or two sentences, how have you gotten peace if those things didn't change?
Well, before I was making all my decisions based in fear because I learned that I didn't trust myself. And I was basically needing to have others validate me or try to convince people to do things. And it was dependent on them and their reactions. But going through this, even though those things haven't changed, I've learned to sit with that and be okay. I don't react anymore immediately. I'm able to just sit there and pause and just let it kind of come in and not react. And being able to do that just exponentially changes what you can do in your own life. And I could just keep talking on and on forever, but It's just,
No,
and
I
it's like,
appreciate that.
and it's the other thing I just want to add too is the really good part about joining in when people are on different parts of the journey, because for me, there was some ideas that I learned from your videos that I sort of knew and I was trying to implement, but I couldn't quite do it. And then joining the creators and hearing people who were doing those things successfully helped me to see that I could do it too. And that just really helped build my self-confidence.
That's huge. Well, Leanna, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're able to stick around for the end, if you want to answer questions with me, I'd love to get your input. But we're gonna keep going. So thank you so much, Leanna. You're amazing. But
You might
let's
have to mute me again because my button's not.
actually, if you could take care of that, I'm going to get back to, because I really want to show you guys what the Skibbens method really is and what it's all about. That's the wrong one. Okay, so the Skibbens method, okay? Because I know that you guys know about BIF, right? Brief, informational, friendly, formal. I know you know about gray rocking. But the truth is that at the root of those is taking the emotions out of it. And what I see over and over again is similar to what Leanna talked about, but also how I know that a lot of you were raised is that your like anger is bad. Don't be so sad. Don't be so much. Don't be so needy. Don't be like those emotions are unnecessary. Like, what are you so upset about? If you're that upset, I'll give you something to be upset about. A lot of us and most of my clients were taught and conditioned and even punished for having their emotions. So unfortunately, what I see Biff doing and what I see Gray Rocking doing is that they don't do anything with those emotions. And if you don't do anything with those emotions, they build and they fester. And then they're impacting all of your communication. There's fear, there's anger, there's resentment, there's frustration, there's betrayal, there's insecurity. And nothing that I've seen out there addresses the emotional side of co-parenting. So the first step is true recognition. Okay, you can't fix what you won't name. And what I mean by that is you have a parenting plan, but for a lot of you it feels like a cage because your co-parent keeps violating the parenting plan but punishes you for stepping outside of it. You're trying to follow the rules and then you're trying to document them when they don't follow the rules. Right? You're trying to make a case, you're trying to prove that they're not following the rules. You're trying to prove that they have this pattern of behavior. But what I've seen is that whenever you're trying to prove that they have a pattern of behavior, you're actually proving that you have a pattern of behavior just as much because you react to their behavior the same way. So you've got to recognize that you have a pattern, you have a cycle just as much as they do. So deep down, you're not just overwhelmed by their behavior, you're overwhelmed by the fear and sometimes the guilt and sometimes the frustration and sometimes the resentment and sometimes all of the above, that this will never end. So recognition starts with you understanding that you are stuck, that you react the same way, that you are starting to see the places. Maybe it's your relationship. Maybe you're not in a relationship because you're like, I can never bring somebody into this. Maybe it's impacting work. It's definitely impacting sleep. It's definitely impacting your social life. It's definitely impacting how much food you eat. Recognition is how you get started making significant change, right? Then comes awareness and accountability. And this is where we have to start flipping the script so that you become the main character and not just like main character energy as far as like, oh my gosh, I'm going to choose me. Is more so like, I know all of you have a story about co-parenting where your co-parent is the main character. Well, they're always late. They're always disrespectful. They always like they don't respect my boundaries. They're not doing what's best for the kids. They don't make child. They. You're trying to tell me about them to make me feel bad for you. And I do feel bad because you haven't found the fact that you are going to get a lot more out of your life. You are going to make more significant change when you tell me about you. Well, how is it feeling for you? What is it that you actually want? Have you sat down? Have any of you sat down and actually written out, what do I want my life to look like? What is it that I like? In the program, in the creators, one of the earliest assignments we do is a 101 wants list. And the activity is to truly sit down and write out 101 things that you want for your life. Maybe it's things that you want to buy. Maybe it's things you want to have. Maybe it's a language you want to learn. Maybe it's a place you want to see. You have been thinking about life through the lens of your co-parent. You have been thinking about your life through the lens of your kid, and you don't know how to look at your life through your own lens. And until you do, you have no power to change anything. You can't change your co-parent. You can't change the court. You can't change your kids. So even though you've tried everything, you've tried gray rocking, you tried Biff method, you've tried less contact, you tried more documentation, and then nothing changes because you're hoping that they'll change. You start to reclaim your power with awareness, like, oh shit, I'm frustrated. It's not like one of the things I teach again in the creators is how to not turn your kid into your emotional avatar. You might say, oh, my kid's having a hard time with my co-parent dating, when it's actually you who's having a hard time with your co-parent dating. Oh, my kid they always struggle when they're away from me for more than 3 days. They have such a hard time. Do they have a hard time or do you have a hard time? Because if you have a hard time and you're saying that the kid does, they're going to act in a way that they do, but they're looking to you for guidance. So it's time to look in the mirror and understand that if the more you can take accountability for your actions, for your emotions, for your regularity, the easier it is for your kid to look at you and be like, okay, cool, mom's got this. Okay, cool, dad's got this. I can relax a little bit. Then step 3 is all about learning and building skills. So I know all of you have listened to the podcast on narcissists. You've read everything on high conflict co-parenting, and you've learned everything there is to learn about your co-parents. All of the skills that you have right now are geared towards your co-parent. How to communicate with a high conflict person, how to set boundaries with a high conflict person. You have been learning how to live a life that's still attached to them. But what you actually need are skills that are to help you thrive. It's skills that help you make progress, that help you start dating, even if your co-parent throws a fit, to help you go on that vacation, even if your co-parent says no, to help you move forward, to help you grieve. You need skills to help your life because guess what? None of you have ever done this before. None of you have ever co-parented before. None of you have ever single parented before. And I would imagine that none of you have also seen somebody do this before. So you are going into an entire chapter of life, the rest of your life, full of uncertainty. There are skills that you can develop. There are skills like the ABCs of communication that are not about how to do it with high conflict people, because the same things work with your kids. The ABCs work with your coworkers. The ABCs work with your parents. One-liners work with your kids. One-liners work with your coworkers. One-liners work with your co-parents. I'll teach you how to shift that mindset that Leanna just talked about, how to pause, how to understand immediacy is the enemy. I'll show you how to grow from your triggers, because guess what, guys? If your kid is 2, 6, 12, or 16, you're going to have new triggers. And if you avoid them or build your life to not feel them or not have to face them, then you are not living life to the fullest. Your triggers can help you become unstoppable, or they can trap you. But you will have the key in your own pocket the whole time. Okay? Step 4 is you have to take messy action. You have to apply the lessons before they're perfect, before you know what's going to happen. When I was going back to get my degree as a teacher, I literally spent an entire semester writing lesson plans and writing curriculum for kids that I never saw. Like literally, we would just sit in a classroom and we learn about curriculum and we learn about lesson plans. And I wouldn't it would be the next semester. They'd like, oh, next semester you'll get in front of kids. Next semester. But it's like, why? But the same thing is happening with your parenting plan. You guys are writing parenting plans before you even know how to co-parent. So then the trap that we talked about is that you write this parenting plan before you know who you are, before you know how to co-parent, and then you live your life to try to fit that co-parenting plan. So you've almost cast this stone ahead of you into this wilderness, into this wild unknown, and like, I got to get there. I got to get to that specific point. And it's like, why? Why do you have to go to that one specific point when you've never been anywhere in this new life? You are going to have to take messy action and see what works. You're going to have to take messy action and learn from your experiences. This is where it gets real, and you have to let go of needing to know how everything is going to work before it happens, because that's not how life works. That's not how newness works. That's not how change works. We have to be willing to make mistakes. We have to be willing to go beyond the places that we've been before. So the application and the messy action is, yes, you're going to have to practice a one-liner when your head's on fire. You have to hold a boundary even when they push back. And then the cool part is that the reason that you're going to be able to hold that boundary is because you learned during building skills is that their pushback is actually step one in the boundary working. Because all of you, and I should have said this, or I could have said this during that skill building, but this is where it actually puts into practice. All of you, if you were working a job that required you to be at the job at 8 a.m., and then your boss was like, hey, we're going to need you to come in at 7:30, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, thank you. I've just been waiting for you to ask me to come in 30 minutes early. Like, oh my, how did you know? That's how some of you are expecting your co-parents to act when you set a boundary. They're not excited that you're setting a boundary. You wouldn't be excited that you're being asked to come in 30 minutes early. You would complain and whine about coming in 7:30 on your way to work. So some of you are getting so bent out of shape and so thrown off and so triggered because your co-parent complains about your boundary, and then you allow that to throw you off enough that you don't hold the boundary, when all you have to do is understand that that's step one in the process. So that comes to messy action is following through on your choice, even when you're scared, even when you don't know what's going to happen, which means also even when they say no. And then step 5 is adjustment. So that means learning from the experience. Learning from the experience instead of choosing from fear. So yes, they broke the agreement. Again, the court didn't do what you hoped for. Again, you documented, you proved that they were awful, and the court was like, oh, slap on the wrist. The therapist, some of you had to have medical psychological evaluations. And like, okay, if I pay this $3,000 and I get them psychologically evaluated, then that for sure will prove that I'm the better parent, or that I need this 50-50, or they can't have 50-50. And then when it didn't work the way you wanted it to, and you're left screaming, what's the point? You have to go back and you have to be like, okay, what worked? What didn't? What did I have control over? And after you've learned, you've set that boundary, you have withheld their first attempt to push against your boundary. And then you're like, okay, well, now I know how to set this boundary. Now I know how to show up for myself. I know that I don't need the co-parenting plan to change. Leanna just told you her co-parenting plan hasn't changed. Her co-parent hasn't changed. She's changed. She has adjusted. And what you heard from Leanna, who just got done 13 weeks ago, is that she's spiraling up. It's still a spiral. It's not linear. It's not perfect. There will still be dips. There will still be ups and downs, but she is spiraling up. Her new pattern has her going up instead of spiraling down. So the truth is that you're not here by accident. You've studied the parenting plan like it's a legal exam. You've replayed all the fights. You've probably read through the text. You saved the text. You've consumed podcasts on high conflict exes. You know exactly what they are doing wrong, but you are still walking on eggshells. You are still losing sleep. You have emotions and peace and days and weeks that are dependent on your co-parent. So you're here because deep down you know the parenting plan isn't going to fix this. And you're ready to find out what can. So again, take a journey with me. Okay, take a journey. Leanna just took you on a journey. I'm going to take you on a journey. Close your eyes and just imagine you're not tiptoeing around your co-parent. You're not bracing to tell them no, that you're not going to switch. You're not like spending 2 weeks coming up with a way to ask them if you can switch weekends. You can ask for what you want. You can have an exchange and look them in the eyes. You can have an exchange and look them in the eyes and then look at the ground. You can hear their raw hamburger, which is just their raw, unprocessed emotions, and not have it throw your day off. You stop chasing fairness. You stop letting your entire life revolve around them and around co-parenting, and you shift. You shift. And then the whole dynamic starts to shift. Your house feels good. You feel good as a parent. And you feel good as a parent, so then when they tell you, oh my gosh, you're such a bad parent, it doesn't hit so hard. Because you're not drained, stressing out so much while your kids are gone. So then when your kids get back, you're not leeching off of your kids to feel better. You're pouring into your kids. You've got more patience. You've got more presence. You've got more you, and your kids feel it. All because you stop making them the main character of your life, the co-parent. And then who benefits from that? Your kids? Yes. You? Yes. Everybody around you? Yes. And ultimately, you're a co-parent too. But some of you might not be ready for that one. So at this point, you have two options. Option one is you can keep hoping for change. And that's real. Like, honestly, I can say with all transparency, there was probably a couple of years I would not have been ready to hear this from me. I would be like, nope, she needs to learn. Nope, she's doing it wrong. Nope, it's her fault. So option number one is you could keep rereading the parenting plan like it's the Bible. You could keep feeling blindsided. Oh my gosh, how could they do this? Oh my gosh, who would act that way? Like, oh my gosh. You could stay in pre-recognition. You could stay in pre-recognition. You don't have to recognize what the problem actually is. Not that they're so crazy or that they're so like, oh, like who, I can't understand why they would do that. If you don't understand yourself, you will never understand your co-parent. So you can still draft every text like the judge is reading over your shoulder. You can try to hold it together all day and then snap at your kids for leaving their shoes in the wrong place. You can pretend that you're fine, but your nervous system is fried. You can try to keep being the better parent. But the truth is, if you want to tell me how awful and vindictive and narcissistic and how irresponsible and how they don't show up for the kids that your co-parent is, then I'm going to look you in the face and I'm going to say, well, they must have chosen the better co-parent then, right? If you want to tell me how awful they are, how then like terrible, mean, like all of these things, you want to tell me how terrible they are, then they must be a pretty good decision maker because they chose you. So maybe some of the accountability, some of the humble pie we need to eat is, oh shit. Oh shit. I chose them. And that hits hard. I chose them. Where must I have been emotionally, self-worth wise? What did I need so desperately that I chose them? And if your mind goes to, well, they tricked me, they played me, they did that. Guess what, guys? I get it. I am raising kids who are not biologically mine. I could still blame her for that. But I took accountability. I chose option number two, that I said yes to myself. I stopped waiting for her to change. Because guess what? My co-parent hasn't changed either. The craziest thing is that my co-parent hasn't changed. What happened hasn't changed. I have. My mindset has changed. My perspective has changed. The ability for me to build the version of me that I don't need them to change. That's what matters. I created peace without needing her permission, her approval, or her cooperation. We don't parent the same. We have wildly different parenting styles, wildly different priorities, and we have great kids. And our kids feel loved, and they love us. And I had to get over the fact that they loved her even though she was doing it different than me. I had to say yes to myself enough that it didn't matter what she was doing. Because the hardest part for me was that the kids loved her so much. I had to prove to myself, I had to trust within myself that what I was doing was enough. So I've learned how to have the hard conversations. I've learned how to ask for what I need. And I've learned how to say the hard thing without spiraling. I'm proud of how I parent. And I've become the version, and you will become the version of you that your kids need. Not the overcompensating one, not the one trying to hold it all together with duct tape. Just you. You've always been enough. Just like you know right now, your kids are enough as they are. You don't need your kids to change. You don't need your kids to prove it. You're enough just like they are enough. So this is where I want you to know. This is what we do in the Creators. The Creators is a 12-week coaching program that can truly, truly change your life. These are the things that happen with the Creators. Like, I'm grateful I'm seeing a different version of myself. BGS is bad girl shit. Like, we had this group of moms who just like, they had been good girls their whole life. They had tried so hard to be good girls. And they all had a similar story of good grades, high achievers, good at sports, well-paying jobs. They were tired of just doing the good girl shit because it left them empty inside. The best investment I've made, completely turned my co-parenting relationship around. I'm still shocked by it 2 years later. I truly feel much better day to day. It used to seem impossible to feel this way. There are truly no words to express how life-changing the program has been. I feel like I'm finding my voice. These aren't like, where is the co-parent in any of this? This is not about, I finally figured out how to deal with my high conflict ex. No, it's not about them. Jay said I'd get out of this what I invested into it by showing up and being authentic. You all make it so easy to do that. That's a message from one mom to the other moms in this program. So how does it work? You're going to get paired with a co-parenting mentor, somebody who knows my work, somebody who knows the ins and outs, an expert in the curriculum, an expert in the skills, an expert in this journey. You're going to get paired with them, and you'll meet with them 6 times over the 12 weeks. You're going to join the private community, right? There is a group of moms who are doing things differently. They're talking to each other every day. They're building themselves up. They're sharing the hard stuff. You're also going to get coached by me 3 times a week. Twice during the week, and then once on the weekends we journal together. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to be teaching you. I'm going to be showing you how these things work. We're going to have discussions. We're going to get deep. Like, these calls are an hour long, and tears are shed, anger is felt, frustration. It is what I've learned. One of my superpowers is that I am here to hold space so that you can express your emotions as deeply and as powerful as you feel them, so that you can start to normalize doing that in your own life. And the more you can deeply and fully feel your emotions, they won't scare you as much. And then you'll realize that your kids' big emotions won't scare you as much. So you'll be able to hold better space for your kids. And then on top of that, you'll unlock a full video library, 40 videos with ebooks, so that you can also learn at your own pace. So this isn't just a course. This isn't just here's some scripts, here's what you need to say. This is transformational. This is, let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's go gnarly. Let's find out what happened in childhood. Let's figure out what your unmet needs are. Let's figure out what's at the root of your triggers. This isn't surface level. That's how this changes so much in 12 weeks. So the first module is all about you. Again, we have to make you the focal point. So we're going to discover your inner superhero. We're going to literally all of you have superpowers. Your emotions are truly your superpowers. You'll learn to revamp your way of thinking. You'll learn how to change your mindset. You will learn how to process your emotions. You'll learn how to journal. You'll learn how to start talking to your inner child in a loving way. And we start with you. Okay, then we're going to show you how to grow. Then we're going to show you how to change your mindset so that you can see things from a abundance mindset instead of a deficit mindset, instead of a fear-based mindset. We're going to help you break out of survival mode. We're going to teach you how to cook your raw hamburger and not eat your co-parent's raw hamburger. We're going to help you heal those wounds so you're not constantly bleeding onto the situation and onto your kids and onto yourself. And growth means we're going to create space between you and your co-parent. And then after we've done those things, then we're going to talk about interacting. We're going to talk about communication. We're going to talk about boundaries. We're going to talk about one-liners. We're going to talk about decision-making. Okay? We have to build you up. We have to get you to the point where you know yourself, and then you'll have a much easier time interacting. Okay? And as a bonus, you're going to get all of my guides. You're going to get that mentor who's going to walk and lead you from experience, not just somebody who's read my books. The co-parenting mentors have peace in their life. The co-parent mentors have, some of them, been through abuse in their relationships and know how to work through that. So these aren't just people who have, taken a couple courses and think that they know what they're talking about. They're walking the walk every single day. You're also going to get a journal, like the Creator's Journal with 90 journal prompts. You also get lifetime access to all of the videos and resources. So all 40 of those videos, you get them forever. And what I want you to know is I started out in the same spot as you. I used to count every single hour I had with my kids just to feel like I was winning. I would spend hours crafting messages, thinking if I was just right, she'd finally see the truth. I really wanted to prove her wrong. And I also really wanted the kid to see how awful she was. Oh my gosh, I wanted the kid to see how bad she was. I was consumed by co-parenting. And what I had to realize is that being consumed by anything means living in survival mode. So trust me, this is like forged by fire. That's why this matters so much to me. That's why this means so much to me, because it's what saved my life. So you could pay $8,000 plus for private sessions with a co-parenting mentor. You could 36 live group calls over the course of the 12 weeks, 40 videos, daily. Literally, you could be talking to the other creators every single day. Have lifetime access. It's not going to be $8,000. But also, Shamra, who some of you who have had a clarity call with, this is her story. That $3,500 on a retainer for GAL, $2,500 to $4,000, or $2,500 to $4,000 monthly for almost a year, $350 a session twice a week for a co-parenting counselor for 6 months, $4,000 one-time fee for a psychological exam, $5,000 for a retainer to retain a lawyer, $87,000 she spent on her co-parenting journey. The GAL was dismissed after the creators, so that expense was eliminated. And they haven't been to court once. That's what's possible. She's a mama too. She's on my team. Like I said, some of you who have had a call with her. So this isn't going to cost you $87,000. Today it's $2,700. And that way you're walking away with clear, tangible results. Things that you can practice going forward that are going to serve you in co-parenting, in parenting, in life, and everywhere beyond. So let's be honest. You're not here because things are fine. Like, you're not here because things are fine. You're not fine. You tell people you're fine. But I know what it feels like to be dying inside. I know what it's like to just be in constant fear that you're going to be exposed for how you really think and how you really feel. So I want you to know, if you're tired of pretending that this is working, if you're sick of walking on those eggshells, if you know you can't keep living like this, like, you're not alone. So once you're a member, you get instant access to everything. We will welcome you with open arms into the group chat. We will welcome you, like, you'll get a meeting with your mentor right away. Honestly, if you join tonight, you could be on our call tomorrow. Like, we want you to know that things change as soon as you say yes. That's what this is. Like, as soon as you say yes, it's going to start. Even just that choice. You have a choice. Some of you are already thinking, I can't do it. I'm sorry, Jay, I can't do it. I want you to know, no matter what you decide at the end of this call, that it's a choice. So even if it's a no, like, I'm still going to support you. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be doing what I do. But I want you to know you can choose. You always have choice. So if it's a yes, let it be a hell yes. And if it's a no, let it be a full no, not a I'm sorry, you're doing so much amazing work. I wish I could be part of it. Let it be a full no. Give yourself that little bit of a gift of using your voice to make a full decision. So again, if you feel right now like you can't justify the cost, or that there's not time to add one more thing, if you feel like maybe you have to save money for lawyers instead, or it won't change if your ex refuses to do the work, I get it. I really do. I would say 99% of the people who have joined have had similar thoughts. So I want you to know that I'm going to stick around. After we wrap up, I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to walk through the process, and literally all of you are going to get a chance tonight to join the creators. So if that's something that you're wanting, and or if you have questions, just stick around. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, one, just say thank you. I'm going to pop back so everybody can see me. Because I want you to, and maybe some of you can see me the whole time. I don't know how it is from your side of things. But what I want you to know is I appreciate you guys being here. Right now, there's still 39 people on this call. Like, that means something. Like, you did something tonight that shows that you want better. You did something tonight that gives you a chance. And I want to honor you. I want you to know that this is part of the journey, no matter how it ends up. So you heard some real talk. You heard some truths. You heard testimonies of what's possible. I want you to know that you could be the next one. Like, you could be part of what we do. So I want to express just gratitude for all of you for being here. I express gratitude for anybody who's watching this later on. We are going to give you a chance right now to get onboarded. We're going to give you a chance to join in right now. And we're going to give you a chance to ask questions. If you have questions about the program, if you have questions about the just co-parenting in general, about the parenting plan, and maybe you want clarification on something that I said, we're going to cut the recording and then answer those questions and get people into the creators. So I really, really deeply appreciate those of you who showed up. I'm not going to judge you if you're like, okay, thanks, I got what I needed. But there is space for anyone who's wanting to ask questions and anybody who's wanting to take that next step. So I'm going to hit the end of the recording. Oh,